Archemipedia entry, Mercurions, Grade A Knowledge. Introduction. Weird living constructs, Mercurions are the inheritor race of Zont, the largest island in the north of Archemi. Zont is an ancient place that is renowned to be the homeland of the Asari. Once, it was a green and fertile place straight out of a Norse myth, but close to 500 years of civil unrest has stripped Zont down to a bare rock. Mercurions are flawlessly beautiful. Weird, articulated humanoids with sculptural features, silvery skin, white or pale gray floss-fine hair spun from silicone, and precious metal and glass eyes with ringed pupils. Other than their odd metallic skin, they are notable for their wing-like ears, actually a cosmetic feature incorporated into their original design by their progenitors. Many Mercurions make for unpleasant company. They are a cold, aloof species, keeping to themselves and continuing with an ongoing civil war in their homeland Zont. Mercurions on the Artanese continent fall into 4 categories: political spies, refugees fleeing the civil war on Zont, merchants, and criminals seeking employment. Mercurions make magnificent assassins due to their immense physical stamina, cold-blooded, impartial natures, and a strong warrior culture. They also have a very strong artificer culture and are renowned to be the best smiths in the world. But those who have seen the glowing sigil-covered weapons of war they produce and use on the battlefields of Zont report stories of juggernauts, spider-legged constructs seemingly made entirely of blades and weapons which produce massive explosions. Those same people are usually killed by Mercurian assassins. They have a Senate Council and no single appointed leader. Culture. The foundation of Mercurian society is the family. A family's size is its wealth, and so Mercurions naturally form into clans and houses comprised of large families. The houses of Zont are called Klaxikan, and they vary extensively in size and power. There is essentially no social mobility within Zont. You are born, live, and die in your place within the Klaxikan. The most powerful houses are those which have their own mana well, Sanshit. There are 3 Klaxikan in South Zont and 1 in North Zont, which have their own wells. The 3 in South Zont have smallish wells. The one in the north has a dragon gate which surpasses every other well in Zont by itself. Within Klaxikan, there are numerous family units which are called Klaxiglika, literally lineage, which are analogous to immediate family units. The smallest houses may only have 2 lineages, the largest have hundreds or even thousands. This is particularly so in the north, where the vast majority of Mercurions are the children of Klaxikan Chuchan, the House of Birds, and bear Chuchi as their forename. Culture now varies between the 2 ends of Zont, but there remain some commonalities. Reproduction. A Mercurian child is generally born to 3 parents, as Mercurions marry in 3s. Klaxikan measure their wealth in the number of children they have, the quality of those children, and the reserves of mana they have to create them. To reproduce, Mercurions sculpt their children with a mana-treated silicon elastomer, glass, silicon carbonate, which is relatively common in Zont, and specially softened metals. Their techniques are derived from the technological processes used by the Asari and Drachen nearly 5,000 years ago, and are one of the closest kept secrets in Archemi. Mercurions from the richest families are created along very particular clan lines, in line with their laws using parts from their ancestors, whereas poorer families tend to craft children less skillfully. This is reflected in the term Liksu, literally plain, which is used to describe people of lower status. Lineage is taken very seriously, and all Mercurians of standing recognize the Klaxiglikon in their house by appearance alone. Families within a house have guidelines for crafting their children, which must be adhered to preserve the characteristic appearance of that family. Filigree, eye color, face shape, proportion, and body type are all decided by tradition, and the married triad who are crafting the children are generally honored to do so. Appropriating the features of another house or lineage is considered a grave insult, and the child is scorned as juchi, a copy, which is analogous to a bastard in human feudal societies. Juchi are created, however, and they are frequently employed as spies and assassins for the duration of their short, violent lives. Mercurians are a subterranean people. They live in enormous cavern and tunnel complexes, which are sculpted into underground cities. Mercurian cities and towns are not dark and gloomy places, but they are often hostile to other life forms. Because of their immunity to poisons and stranging, Mercurian Soanian cities are generally built near veins or lakes of mana, and they suffer no ill effects from gas pockets, carbon monoxide, or magical vapors. Because of their near universality of mana and the age of the cities, the buildings sprout glittering, crackled covers made of glass dust and mana, as well as crops of blue stone and strange fungi and lichen. The resonance would be enough to give a human mage a stroke, though the glittering beauty of Mercurian cities cannot be denied. It would be the most beautiful half an hour of their life before the stranging took and their lungs became full of crystallized mana. Mercurians have some of the most sophisticated, haunting music in Archemi. Their signature instruments include a 27-stringed instrument called a chiki, the sazuk, a hammered dulcimer, the jik, a thumb piano similar to a kalimba, the tuntiki, a kind of metal drum similar to a space drum, the zai, a harpeggi, and the moon, a quartz cantabile. Every house has a singer who specializes in music, but all Mercurians are sensitive to sound and are tuned for singing. Their education is primarily musical, with great emphasis on teaching songs, ballads, and lists. Reams of information are memorized musically. It is thought that the gate of the eternal longing, the gate which imprisons the draconic deity Veles, was constructed in Zant. Death. Mercurians are not long-lived people, as they were created to be shock troops, not a species in their own right. As such, the techniques to create and imbue them are fundamentally flawed. From the time they are born, they gradually slow down as their SAID metabolism decreases. A Mercurian has no childhood to speak of. They are educated in their ways within a year, and the next 30 to 40 years are spent as adults. No Mercurian has lived past 46, and due to the Civil War and various other conflicts, they rarely live past 25 in practice. It is absolutely vital for them to recover their dead to recycle their matter into the next generation, and often, the times that Mercurians will fight the fiercest is when they are denied the option of retrieval. They attribute great significance to the reuse of materials, with Klaxiglikon forming from lineages on this basis. Incorporating the previous generation into the new is of fundamental importance, and even in the Civil War, battles, which have resulted in large numbers of dead, have seen ceasefires to allow both sides to collect the dead for reincorporation. Mercurians have no fear of death, despite being non-religious. The fear of death is actually fundamentally alien to them. Their lives are so short and their mentality so communal that the average Mercurian views their own death as the point in which they pass the baton to their family's children and grandchildren. Brave soldiers are commemorated through being recycled into future generations, individuals of which will be named after them for their bravery in combat. Because of their sentience and rapid metabolisms and minds, They do not experience temporal contraction. Mercurions are born, live, and die fast. The recording and passing on of important information in an accurate and accessible manner is another extremely important activity, and for this reason, triumvirate marriages are common. These are usually between 2 soldier caste members and 1 scholar or artificer, who is relieved of the duty to sculpt children due to their important work in research, record-keeping, machine construction, and scribing.